Japanese family. Nisa Wishawanag, more commonly referred to as Raymond Two Hawks. Pamim Sage of the Mashipag Narragansett tribe, and today at this function, Director General of the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America. So the brother asked me to share a little bit about what FANA is. And I guess the best way I can describe FANA is if you look at the setup that Six Nations has, but not limited to just Six Nations. So we're individual nations that have come together in council to collectively share knowledge, understanding, and then to collectively take steps to address the issues that we're all facing, and in my opinion, the most pertinent being misclassification or non-classification whatsoever. So FANA has been working, we were chartered in 2014, specifically engaging with Aboriginal nations that can document a bloodline lineage pre-US colonization, and we think that that's very, very key because it separates us from the quote-unquote $5 Indian groups that are out there. It separates us from the quote-unquote dirty Moorish groups that are out there, and it most certainly separates us from any of the sovereign citizen nonsense that's going on, which is an oxymoron. You can't be sovereign and a citizen at the same time. So FANA is just the tribes that have been able to show that on paper, realizing that it's a bigger fight and it's a bigger victory than just for one of us, and that we get there a lot faster and more efficiently and more effectively if we're doing it collectively. So in my capacity with FANA, I'm Director General, and that just means kind of like the go do that, go do this, and let us know what happened, which I don't mind. I enjoy it actually, because I get to make a lot of headway and meet a lot of good people like the brother here. And this event that we did today with the U.S. Census is a part of an ongoing partnership we have, because beyond the knowledge, beyond the history, beyond just being angry about what happened, how do we actually start to address it and change it? So we initially were very skeptical about the census, but we figured rather than let our fears dictate us, let's go and meet and have conversation and ask questions. And we got some solid answers that led us to more information, which we came back with more questions and got more information. So from FANA's perspective, working with the census has been very, very beneficial in terms of understanding how the system that we're in works, and then also starting to articulate a plan of action for our people of how to correct their status in it. This speaks a lot, I think, to, and they discussed it back in the day when the census came, they looked at you and decided what you are, and that's what you were. So many of us have family members who were black, white, mulatto, free people, colored people, all in the same lifetime. The same person going through all of these, and of course we're saying, well, what the hell's going on? How does that happen? Well, we know why it happens, because your status determines your connections to the lands, determines your rights. So if you can get people away from that, then you have the right to step in and usurp that. So working with the census, we've been able to understand not only the history, but come up with the fact that there are actually 5 different statuses of Indians, which I was going over, and I'll share them for those who weren't there. Your federally recognized Native Americans, your state recognized Native Americans, your urban Indians, which is what most of us are and don't know it, you're misclassified or unidentified, and then if you're moving in the capacity through private trust, which is separate and foreign to the U.S. government, then your Indian's not taxed. All of these classifications fall under American Indian. So now, beyond just being an Indian, we're getting into the conversation of what type of Indian we are, and also understanding the process of moving from one classification to another. Now this is very important, especially as we come up on 2020, right? Because they got a lot of us believing this make-believe thing that we are just from Africa. And I love Africa. I got friends that are Nigerian. One of my best friends is Liberian, been best friends since high school. I know people from Ghana. I love Africa enough to not claim the entire continent. You know, enough to respect them enough to say, look, even if I do have heritage from there, I don't know it well enough to identify it, and I can specifically say where I'm from right here. So if I can specifically say where I'm from right here, why would I take myself all the way across an ocean to claim a continent? And from our experience in FANA, what we found is that as we articulate this to individuals who we would have thought would have been the most ignorant and racist individuals, we immediately see a change in their behavior towards us, a change in how they speak to us, a change in how they deal with us. We see respect come in immediately. As soon as they know that we know who we are, they're forced to treat us in a different way than they would if we were running around claiming to be an African American. And if you think about it, take the emotion out of it, take the history out of it, take the pain out of it. And this is an example I like to give. You live next door to a guy, you don't really know him, but you know every day you see his wife cheat on him. Every day you see his wife cheat on him. You're bound to have less respect for the man. You're bound not, you might not go and tell him, hey, your wife's cheating on you, but you're most certainly going to look at the individual like, man, your wife's cheating on you every day, right? It sucks. It is really bad for the guy, but on a certain level, there's just a lack of respect you might have for the simple fact that your wife's cheating on you day in and day out and you don't even know it. And if you're a really ignorant person, you might start to disrespect the man. Never tell him what's going on, but talk to him like he's an idiot. You know, tell him he's a fool. And he might have no idea why you're treating him like that, but you know. But as soon as that gentleman, hey, wait, my wife's cheating on me and I had to, you got to deal with that individual differently now. And then you stop to maybe even fear, hey, wait a minute, what if he starts to think that I know, so how do I, so that's kind of what we've been seeing. The individuals who looked at us as fools and idiots, they're taking a few steps back now. They don't really know how to deal with us, but they also aren't quite sure what else we know. So they just kind of want to deal hands off with us. And that goes from your politicians, to your law enforcement officials, to the census people that are here. So when we know who we are, and when we don't allow other people to tell us who we are, and when we are actually claiming what we can actually claim, not claiming what they told us, not claiming an entire continent, and that's so absurd to me. I mean, I'm just looking back at our people and I understand the struggle. I came out of that black experience. For all intents and purposes, as far as the experience goes, I'm black, but I know who I am. I'm a Narragansett from Misclassified. And if you know the history of the Narragansetts, well, the Narragansetts, they took our land from us in the late 1800s by claiming, oh, you all have too much African blood. So that is a direct example to me right there that I'm not from Africa. Because if my people are here and we were tribe, then why would they argue that we have too much African blood? So obviously African is something you're trying to add into us to take us away from who we are. And if you look at any of the pictures of my people going all the way back, they look like me and you. I'm actually more light-skinned than most of my people are. Down on the res, who have been there going back since they threw them on the res. So all of this, the point of everything that we're doing here is really about informing our people who they are so they can feel confident in it, understand it, and start to take the steps necessary to be who they are. And when they do that, from our experience, they get treated differently. There's a different spirit they have about themselves. In my opinion, they're getting back to how we were before all of this colonization started. So we feel very blessed that Creator has put us in a position to be engaged in these sort of things. If you asked me even 5 years ago, did I ever think I would be sitting down with the U.S. Census in New York City talking about how I'm an Indian not taxed and them agreeing with it, or at least not trying to rebut it, I would have told you were crazy. I'm never talking to the census, and I'm not dealing with any of the feds. And here we are 5 years later, pursuing the feds, waiting for them to return our phone calls, asking them that they do what we told them to do, and getting responses that yes they did or no not yet. So it's a whole different world. When you know who you are, when you claim it, when you stand on it, you get treated like you should get treated. And I'm encouraging everyone to do that. Get rid of the African American stuff. I mean, have some respect for the continent, to not claim the whole continent and then make a symbol for it with the fist over it with colors that don't associate. That's disrespectful. Imagine if the Europeans did it. They came here, they took our land from us, they made a new flag and symbol and said we're Americans. And we're turning and doing the same thing to people over in the continent of Africa. Let's not do that. Let Africans be Africans. If we want to be Americans, that's fine if you want to be American, but more specifically, I'm a Narragansett from Misclassified. That's where my people been going all the way back. I'm not aware of any African blood, but much love to our brothers and sisters out there from the continent, and much love to the brothers and sisters who do have that blood in them. Stand strong and be about it, but don't disrespect an entire continent by claiming it when you have no collection to it. That's just foolishness in my opinion.
Indeed. Now, just real quick, I don't want to keep you too much longer. Can you speak about the importance of those of us who are returning to this information?
Sure.
The importance of building relationships with the fellow tribes that are active, that are seeking out remedies, and and being humble in the process of doing it.
Absolutely. So I'll use the example of my people, the Nahegans and the Poconokas. The reason the King Philip's War was won is because we were fighting with each other. And my people in particular waited to get involved in the war until we were preemptively attacked on December 19th, 1675, in the Great Swamp Massacre, where they burned alive or shot in the back hundreds of our women and children and elders. That's when we decided to get into the war. But by that time, we're devastated. You lose all of your women and children, and now you want to go fight? So we're being very, very purposeful in engaging with each other in a manner that promotes unity and that is respectful, because us not being like that is how we lost. And this story is a story that you can follow all the way around the country amongst all of the different Indian tribes who are fighting amongst each other, and the European came in and sold this one guns, sold that one guns, had them shoot at each other, and then when they shot each other to death, stepped in and took it over. So in my opinion, the only way to undo these sorts of things, is I view everything from a spiritual perspective, is you have to go down and pull that root up right from the bottom. So if we can't even get along amongst ourselves as different tribes and nations, if we're still stuck on the same nonsense that got us in this predicament, why would we expect anything to change, and why would we expect to be respected by these European powers? I wouldn't if I was them. You're doing the same thing you were doing when we took this from you. You just know a little bit more now, but you're still conducting yourself the same way. And to be quite honest, back then, our people knew more than we know now, because they knew specifically who they were, specifically where their land areas were from, and they still got done in. So, to me, it is necessary that we re-engage each other. And I'm not saying come to FANA because I'm Director General, forget all that. Don't come to FANA, but do what you're supposed to do. You don't have to engage with us. We're just saying that we feel like we're stronger when we're together. Mashapal could be doing this all by itself. Poconoka could have went and took Brown back by itself. But that's a much harder fight than if you got Kiskiaks, Mashapogs, Nipmucks, Pecassis, and others there supporting the Poconoka. And it makes the overall effort seem stronger. So, gotta get together, gotta get to unity, gotta get to sharing the knowledge, and have to do it humbly, because if we do it arrogantly, that's where the division starts, and we'll be right back where we were when we started.
Thank you, brother.
No problem, brother. Kanupium.
Well,
what we do here is go back.